We're here to. This is Super Mater Bros podcasting once again, coming to you live after the merge episode here. So we're gonna break it all down. We're gonna get into the nitty gritty of everything that happened on this episode, and just kind of to talk it all out. And I'm Jeff Mater with my brother Dave Mater, and this is our first Survivor podcast. But we have started other TV recap podcasts, including Westworld. We'll be doing other shows as well. So for this episode, it was a great episode of television. What did you think, Dave?
I loved it. Yeah, I've loved the season so far. I thought that this was a great merge episode. I thought it was really interesting. I thought, in particular, like all the little stories that had been going on at the three other tribes going into this were sort of like just washed away right away, and it was a whole new ball game, like so to speak. So.
Yeah, I enjoyed that quite a bit. I was a little worried it was going to be a little bit of the three tribe dynamic where one tribe was going to have to join another tribe and that would be the majority, but that didn't happen at all, and that was really exciting to see that.
Or that they would like go back to like Sele and to call like loyalties. They didn't do that either, right? They were just kind of everything was kind of fluid and everybody kind of scrambled down there. Like, okay, this is the group of 12 I'm with. Plus, Tyson's back in the game, right? So that was a big deal.
That was super exciting. That playback challenge between Rob and Tyson was something else to watch. I mean, I kind of thought both of them deserved to get back in the game. I kind of wish they'd done that instead of bringing someone else back later.
I was cheering for Tyson for sure, but I did not want Rob to get back into this game. Like his little speech where he's like, "It's not romantic, Jeff, on the edge of extinction. It sucks. I hate it." And I would have said my dog there. I would have said anybody there.
It's the worst place I've ever been, he said.
I'm like, okay, Rob. Well, and he was like, they voted my wife out early and they set her there and I'm pissed about it. I was like, well, no one's going to want you around. You get back in this game, you're definitely the first one out. You're the easiest vote ever.
Yeah.
So I was glad when it was Tyson who, like, not everybody really got a big moment sort of from the edge of extinction, but like definitely Tyson did, where they're like, Tyson, you always got a joke, and he's like, it's not always funny, Rob, or Jeff. Sorry, I always think it's Rob. It's not always funny, Jeff.
I'm a dad now.
I'm a dad now. I left my family to suffer here on the edge of extinction.
I do think when Sandra put her sail up, I'm sure somebody like a Tyson and Parvati, who said she had like a 10-month-old at home. I'm sure both of those people both thought, "What am I doing here?"
What? Yeah, why am I not doing it? And Sandra did, right? Like, right. Sandra's the queen forever. Why am I better than her? And they're like, yeah, but it's $2 million, so you got to go for it.
It's also like I think Boston Rob said it too. He's like, look, it's all the old school players, but like none of them gave up except Sandra. And I mean, Sandra giving up made a lot of sense. She's not winning that challenge. She would have been with Amber, not be able to get the key out of the hook. I don't think she would have even gotten the key or the bag out of the dirt, like in time, like that. Sandra is, just not a challenge competitor, and I just don't see her ever winning that challenge. They could have ran that challenge 1,000 times. She would never win it.
Yeah, I get it. I get why she wanted to go, and that would have represented something more like 5 more days on the edge of extinction.
I think it was 3.
3. Yeah, even that. Like
2
why
more
bother?
Nights. 2 more nights.
Especially if there's a rainstorm. Like, just whatever. I'm out.
Like there was a rainstorm. So
she would have been able to stay on the edge because it's not like these people just went back to the edge. Like they have a chance to get back in the game somewhere down the road.
Right. Which I wonder where they're going to do it. Are they going to do it for Chris Underwood? Did they do it at Final 4 or Final 5?
It's like Final 5, I think.
But he was not eligible to be voted out the first tribal or something.
Yeah. So he was like, I think it was maybe Final 6, and he was guaranteed to Final 5.
Right.
It's kind of what it was.
Right.
Yeah, which I agree. Like, I think that having Edge of Extinction up until this merge point is fine, and then it's done. Like we're just into jury mode. But
so going back to Tyson real quick, were you surprised that nobody wanted to vote him out?
Yeah, a little bit. Just because it seems like the easy thing to do. Like they voted him out for a reason, but they said like it didn't really matter anymore. That so I was glad when they came back to camp, and it was quickly not that. It was like it was about Denise, and it would have been about Denise, apparently, but then it was about Nick, and it was about Adam, and it was about who else was on the
Wendell,
discussion?
obviously.
Well, obviously Wendell, yeah.
We haven't
But
even got to the headline yet. Wendell voted out at this tribal council.
yeah, Jane has him in the draft. She wasn't happy about it.
Right.
But you got Tyson back, so you were out of this already. And now you have a life again.
Yeah, I have life again. Yes, I'm back from the dead. I had Tyson and Rob. So either way, I was getting a player back, which is kind of why I picked those two players. I knew they would probably both get voted out, but I also kind of figured that one of them would win the buyback challenge, and I was right. And I think Boston Rob might win the next buyback challenge, so I might get two players back in the game. Depending, Wendell's good. Wendell's a good challenge guy too, so he'll be tough for Rob to beat.
True. Here, if I pick Chrome tab, here we'll go to this one. Share. You see that, right? So this is our draft and Survivor.
See it where?
Oh, is it not coming up yet? Sorry,
not yet.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, there you go.
If I go solo on, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll just
Is this okay? So in order, Wendell went first, then Jeremy, and then I picked Tyson. Now I got him back.
Right. So now you're back alive in this.
And so does somebody have nobody? Doesn't look like it. Everybody has somebody still left in the game.
Yeah. So Jane lost her first person tonight. Right. Amanda's still got Jeremy and Sarah. Daryl's got Adam. I got Kim. Sean's got Tony and Denise. Yule's gone. Yule's gone.
Yep.
I have to update that. And then Jamil's got Nick and Sophie. So
yeah, right now I think to be honest, I think Sophie has the best chance to win. I think she's in the best spot. She just seems to be controlling things tonight. It would seem like it was between Adam and Nick because Jeremy was kind of controlling things. And then this is what Jeremy does, though. He wants to control the vote, but to a point. He won't push too far.
Yeah, he's smart.
Yeah,
right. Like they should be getting rid of. Let's go here.
I think Nick and Adam both. I think they were right to get rid of Wendell too. I think all three of those players are dangerous.
Well, I thought it was hilarious that ultimately it comes down to the two youngest guys in the game, and Nick. It felt like that's what it was going to be. It was going to be between Nick and Adam. It ends up being Wendell ultimately, but like that these two guys were not on the same page with each other. That they were immediately targeting one another. I thought it was quite interesting.
Yeah, because like we've been noticing that people that played on seasons very close to each other have been getting along quite well, and these two I think only played a couple seasons apart. And they've never. I don't know. Have they ever been on the same tribe? I don't think they have.
I don't think they've ever played together, right? Or did they?
Did they play together this season? I don't know. With all the swaps, I don't think they were on the original tribes. Nick was definitely on the Sandra tribe, and
Nick was on the DeCall tribe, and Adam was on. Yeah, Adam was on Saleh, and then they weren't on the same tribe for the switcheroo.
No, so they haven't been on the same tribe, but they have heard stuff about each other that they're both, like, I guess, a little shady.
Right. Yeah, like I guess like who, like in terms of like who's gotten voted out so far, and who seems like they seem to be going after mostly the smart players, mostly like sort of these sneaky kind of players.
Right. Well, you heard it tonight with Wendell talking about Denise, where he said that I want to get rid of the players that have winners' resumes. Sophie said the same thing. They're going after players that have resumes, and that makes sense. That's who I want out too.
So why would you want to win an immunity challenge right now? Like, isn't Jeremy kind of dumb? Like,
I don't think necessarily the immunities are the resume. It's the big moves at tribal council those are the things people remember. People don't remember, you won 3 immunities. No one deserves to win the game for that anymore. That's not how it works. It does more in Big Brother. It's like, how many vetoes did you win? How many households did you win? Which is ridiculous. But in Survivor now, it's changed. It's what did you do at tribal council? What big move did you do at tribal council that really changed the game? And that's who wins now.
Yeah, especially with this group, that's what they'll respect, right? Is like, yeah, who get the more blind sides. I think that that's going to be definitely like what people are going to look at, or sort of who fooled who,
Right.
like, will be more valuable.
And I do think Jeremy was right that it was a mistake to get rid of Wendell over Adam or
But
Nick.
like a player like Ben, right? Like
Yes.
his season where he basically won because he was on the outs, everybody wanted him out,
Yes.
and he basically just went on a run and won every immunity challenge until
He,
the end.
he did the same thing. No, he kept finding idols more than
And finding idols, right?
he,
Like,
yeah. He did more of that than Mike Holloway more won out. He kept
right.
winning immunity.
Or a
challenge.
Michael Holloway, like that kind of a player. Like I think that can still win with this kind of a group, like winners who mostly respect like strategy moves more so than challenges. But I think if you have your back against the wall, I think that still gets respect. Like people will still go, oh well, he, we were gunning for him and good on him. He survived and the survivor. So
Yeah. So well, Denise basically won because like her whole resume was she went to every single tribal council. That was her resume, which is a good one, I guess. I mean, you survived all the votes, but did you dictate all the votes? Probably. I don't think she did in her season. She dictated a few of them for sure, but she was on the bottom most of the time because
most of the time she was kind of like a Sandra-like player and like anybody but me.
Yes, and that's why it was kind of ironic that Denise was the one that stabbed Sandra in the back.
Yeah, yeah, and I just love how she came into this merge feast and was just like, "Yeah, I did it." I guess because maybe she knows it's eventually going to get around to what happened. Like it's not like she's going to be able to keep it secret.
Yeah, I do think that's a smart move because I'd rather be the one presenting that information the way I want it to be presented than and to the whole group rather than every individual person coming up to me and saying, "What do you do? Oh, what, exactly how did that happen?" And then wherever you tell, you're going to tell something different, and then they're going to go tell a different person. Then the game of telephone, happens. Whereas if you just put it all on Front Street, I do agree with what she did there. She could have been a little less laissez-faire about it. She was like, "Yeah," she gave me her idol, and I said, "All right, well, I'm gonna vote you out." And she kind of showed like what she is doing this season. She was willing to vote out her closest ally from day one, Adam. No problem. She was like, I'll cut you down, no problem."
Yeah, she was like, "No problem." I'm sure people are going to look at that and say, "Well, why would I trust her then?" Right? Because even Adam, who she seems to be close with, isn't that close to her. I
do think what they do with this show is they do even like old quotes come back to matter later on in the season. Like when Rob says people that stick together go far. And that's true. Like that's what Sophie I think Sophie is going to go far because she usually picks a few certain people of numbers to go far with. And it works. Unless you have untrustworthy players that are willing to backstab you. So I don't see like Sophie should target Denise. If I were her, I would in a heartbeat.
Yeah, well, like there's certain players I don't root for, and Sophie is one of them. Like she's not somebody I particularly want to see win this game.
Do you think she's a good player?
Yes, I do. I do think she's a good, but she's but not good enough. Like I don't think she's the best one in here.
I think she dictated that vote tonight. She heard that Jeremy wanted to keep Wendell over over Nick, and she went, I'm not letting that happen, and she made it not happen.
True. Like I respect that. But like I think that ultimately she won't win because I think that they're going to target this group of like floaters or sort of what do they call them? They called in the Tony calls
Sleepers.
them
sleepers.
Huh?
Sleepers.
They're the sleeper tribe. They're the sleeper alliance, right? That they're going to go after these versus like these big targets. That ultimately, I guess is Jeremy one of the big targets? I guess he's
one of the big lions, yeah, for sure. Yeah, Tony's funny. He's like, "Look, I don't want any of these hyenas."
Hyenas, and he called Nick a hyena, and when Nick was like had his teeth out, he's like, "Ah!" That was hilarious. I loved it.
Up on all the conversations like a hyena. Like he's not. He's not on Front Street.
Because Tony was talking about these hyenas a couple weeks ago. Like he's like the hyenas will get the lions, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, I'm starting to. And so Nick is the epitome of hyena. And I thought that Adam was going to be another hyena, right? But then later on, Tony clarifies that Adam's actually a snake. He's like, yeah. Adam is a snake. We have to cut off the head of the snake.
Adam's a snake.
Nick's a hyena. I'm a lion. Tony's a lion. I'm a lion. Who else? Jeremy's a lion.
The Survivor Animal Kingdom is hilarious. I mean, because like it's just you're either this, or this. You can only be 3 animals.
You know, well, rats. Who's the rats?
Oh, there's a rat. There's 4. Sorry. So there's rat,
I don't know.
hyena, snake, and lion.
Yeah, so no rats, but we had some snakes.
Which I think, other than hyena, they're all years of the Chinese New Year or whatever.
Right. Like who do we? Like Sarah was barely in this episode. I barely saw Sarah. Kim had not much to do or say in this episode.
Yeah, she was like a Tyson. I mean, other than him coming back, I just mean strategy-wise, he did start it off, but basically immediately had Ben on his side. I was like, why? Like, it always confuses me when it's just like immediately they're like, yeah, you could be on my side, when like for like the whole time they hadn't been working with this person whatsoever. Like
maybe they're bored, or they're tired of the people they're working with, and they're like, fuck these people. I'll move on to somebody else.
Yeah, I'll see a different path. See, that's the difference between the new school and the old school, is that adaptability to saying like, yeah, I'll jump ship on my alliance in a heartbeat. That is the difference, I think. Go back in the day, it was, yes, you had to backstab, but like you knew like certain players weren't going to turn on each other.
Right.
Like Richard Hatch and Rudy were never going to turn on each other.
Well, that was the old school thing. It was like the old school was just like lock in with your alliance and hold on for as long as you can until you're at the bottom of that alliance, and then whatever, I guess. So you're voted out.
Or if you could win immunity, you went as far as you could. There was kind of a hierarchy to it, and it seemed like I do think production kind of swayed. They wanted certain players to stay longer later in the early years. Because they knew it would make good TV, and they needed to keep the ratings up.
People are like, I remember this person, so yeah. Like I thought they did way too much of this, but like of that, like bringing new returning players back. But yeah, I like that this particular group is all returning players because it's all winners. That's more interesting versus like a player that just had a catchphrase or whatever.
Right. Yes,
I don't need that.
Yeah, the win this season has been fantastic. Just to watch all these great players, even just because you won doesn't mean you're a great player, but most of the players out there are great players. So it's been exciting to watch, whereas sometimes they do these game changers seasons and stuff, and you get guys like Troyzan make the final 3, and it's like he just just didn't screw up enough, like he just got out of the way. And that's what's been going on in this season too, though, a little bit, is like Boston Rob said it, all the old school players have been getting popped. And whereas, the new school players were, they said it wasn't on purpose, but it was kind of half on purpose. They kept going for the legends. They were like, there was a certain thing they were doing to get rid of the legends. Yule just happened to shoot himself in the foot, and he was the last one. And so did Sandra. They both shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, well, Yule, I don't think played very well, especially at the end. He got way too confident. He thought he had everything on lock, and everyone, and obviously that blew up in his face. Yeah, like these people. Yeah, like Rob's a dinosaur in this game now. To me, like he has no relevance. Like he just tries to play the game like a bully, right? Like effectively.
Yes, but that's, I don't think he wanted to coming into the game. But then when Amber got voted out, and then he got swapped onto a tribe with 2 players from his own tribe that he couldn't really stand. He wanted both those guys gone multiple times. I think he just went, okay, I'm gonna have to go back to what worked, and that's what worked for him in 23 was that bully mentality. It worked really well. That's why that season kind of sucks. If you go back and watch it, it's not one of the best seasons. You
mean 22?
23 is South Pacific, right?
Yeah, that's when Sophie won.
Yeah. So. And they have like I don't think of Boston Rob and Sophie ever would have been able to work with each other. And they were on that small tribe, and they played a season apart. So this whole thing of where you're close with the player that you won close to doesn't seem to be the case most of the time.
No, because Adam and Nick are, they're not that far off from each other. They're like 4 off,
2 or 3. Yeah.
Adam's 33 and Nick's 37, but 4.
Yeah, 33 for Adam. That seems like a while ago.
Millennials versus Gen X feels like a long time ago.
Yeah, because that was Zeke's first season, and he came for back. What season is Game Changers?
34.
30. It's the next season.
Yeah, and then it's Then it's heroes versus healers versus hustlers. Then it's Ghost Island. Then it's David versus Goliath, which is Nick.
Right.
He as a David.
David, and they brought back 3 different returnees for David versus Goliath, right? Oh no, that was healers, hustlers, right? What was the season where who came back? It was the girl from Kelly Wentworth came back. They had 2 other players come back.
Oh, wasn't it like Blood versus Water or something like that?
No, they had a player come back. 3 different players. One of them was Kelly Wentworth. I think it was the Heroes Hustler, or maybe it was. I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't remember that one, but I guess that's in the recent past, right?
Anyway, off track.
Yeah, like I just I'm kind of curious. Like if you had to say that there was 2 sides of this game now, right? Like of who's left. Like who do we know is aligned with who? So it seems like Ben at the moment, at least, is Ben and Jeremy and Tony.
Yeah, who are the Lions? Okay, we'll call one alliance the Lion Alliance. Okay,
and then the Sleeper Alliance.
And then that's what's going to come down to, isn't it?
Oh, the Lion sleeps tonight. That's got to be on the one-off this week.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you'll see like Tony, Jeremy, Ben. I think Denise is going to end up with those guys. I think Denise is whoever the main target alliance is, like whoever's target the big players. I think Denise will go with them.
Yeah, so Denise, Jeremy. Yeah, I think Denise will want to be like the quiet player
amongst the big lions. And then the hyena alliance will be kind of like you'll have Michelle, Nick, Adam, Sophie, and who else? So are we missing players? Yeah, Kim. Kim will be in the middle.
Kim's in the middle. She's not with any of this.
I think she's kind of with Sophie, right? She's supposed to be with Jeremy and Denise.
But where's Tyson?
And then there's Tyson. Another one. Yeah, see, he'll be in the middle too. And so Tyson's in a really good spot. I hope Tyson goes far because Tyson's just so fun to watch on the show. He's so good at confessionals. He's so good.
Adam's with the Sophie and Nick. No, who's Adam with?
I think will be with the Sophie and Nick eventually. He also might go with the Lions.
But Sophie and Nick or Adam and Nick were going after each other this I
know, but I don't think that's going to matter. They're going to see that I think they will see the divide eventually. I don't know. That's how I see it. I could be wrong.
Right. Like Sarah's with who? Sarah's with the Lions.
She should be with Tony with the Lions. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And that's it, right? That's all. That's the 11 to the left.
That's it. And then there's 11 left now because Wendell went home tonight. So
yeah. So okay. So on one side, the Lions are Denise, Jeremy, Ben, Tony, and Sarah.
Yeah.
And then
how many is that? That's 6 or 5?
It's 5.
Okay. And then the other 6 are who?
Then you got the sleepers,
right? Which
is Nick, Sophie, Michelle, and Adam.
Okay.
And then in the middle, you have Kim and Tyson, I guess.
That's what yes.
Unless Kim and Tyson join up with the sleepers, and then that's a 6-on-5.
Tyson's going to stick with the Lions. That's what I think, because he got burned one time because he didn't already. So I think you can put
Who voted him out the first time? I can't even remember anymore.
It was like Nick. Who else was on his tribe?
Oh yeah, Nick was the one who turned on him, right? Like,
right. So if I'm Tyson, I'm going to want Nick out soon.
Yeah. Okay. So if Kim and Tyson join with the majority alliance, then yeah, the bottom of the pack are Nick, Sophie, Michelle, and Adam, and it's probably Adam that goes first.
Yeah. Once they get Adam out, they'll have the numbers, and for the most part, and by they I mean Jeremy, Ben, Denise, Kim. If those 4 players stick together, you'll see them go far.
Right. But how much further do you think like Tony gets in this game?
As far as Sarah gets. So those 2 players I think will be linked. I think they'll probably go one after each other, or
we never see them talking on the show to each other.
I know, ever. But we know they're tightly aligned. They showed it over and over and over. I wonder what Tyson's gonna do as far as other than get Nick out. Who's he gonna want to be his number 1, 2? Because he had that with Jervis when he won, and then he also had like a third. So I wonder if he does the same formula because that's what I'd be doing if I were him. That's what got him to the end last time.
What you think, Kim? You think Kim? Well, assuming the Tyson sticks with Kim, right? Because that's what we think will happen. Is it Nick? He did leave his fire token to Nick? So will Nick try to align with Tyson? We didn't see that tonight. Like none of that was shown.
No, they didn't really show what Tyson wanted to do either. As far like it's kind of what Tony said. We got to go for the current, and I think Tyson just went with the current. Tonight.
Yeah, they said we're doing Wendell, and that's it. Like,
he was like, "What? Awesome, good,
sure, Wendell, not me. Great. I don't even because Wendell and what's his name, Tyson. Well, they were never on the same tribe together. So, or were they? Wait, which tribe was Wendell on?
Tyson originally? And who? Wendell? No, they were never.
They were. They were both on DeCall. Yeah, they were both on Red at the beginning.
Who? Tyson and who?
Tyson and Wendell.
Oh yes, that's right. They were on the same tribe. Yes.
Right. So, what did you think about Wendell's choice to leave his fire tokens to Michelle and Nick? I guess it's even better for Nick, right? Because Nick's got like 3 or 4 tokens now.
Yeah. So I think and they had that previous confessional where Nick was saying the person that can gather the most tokens or will have a huge advantage as far as when the merge comes. If he might be right, and that might be foreshadowing a little bit. If you look, only Amber is the only player still like in the game that's still there. That's other than Tyson. They're all there. I mean, I'm sorry. She's the only one that's been voted out. That's on edge. Sandra left. Tyson's back. Every other player from DeCall is still in the game.
Right. Wait, who's left? Only DeCall people?
All the DeCall players are still in the game except Sandra, who left, and Amber, who's on edge.
Who got voted out early. Yeah. So, and Yule.
Oh yeah, Yule. Yeah, sorry, Yule.
And now Wendell.
Yeah. So now they have. Yeah, that's right. So now they have 4 out, and Sele has 5. So actually, it's pretty even from the original tribal lines. Now, if you look at the original Sele, like Jeremy, Michelle, Adam, Ben, and Denise, I mean, not many of those. Like, I think Jeremy, Ben, and Denise are working together, but Michelle and Adam are like, very, it's 3-2 there. And then on the other side, you have Kim still in the game, Nick still in the game, Sarah, Tyson, Tony, and Sophie. So I don't think those original tribal lines mean anything.
No, I don't think so. I didn't get any sense. There was no talk about like, oh, this is old DeCall versus old Sele. Like that wasn't even like uttered as one line in this whole episode, which I like. Is I hate when that's what the dynamic is. Like I'm fine with it sometimes, but like not this season. I need something more out of this season because it's all winners.
Yeah, well, yes, and
I need them to be smarter than that. Like, I get the idea of staying loyal to whatever group you are, but this group's way too smart for that.
Yeah, no, that's right. They all know that they're all capable of backstabbing each other at any moment. So every tribal council is like, I know the players are walking in not sure what's going to happen. I know most seasons are like that, but I don't really believe that. I know a lot of the time they walk into the tribal council and they know who they're voting for. Whereas this season, I mean, everybody always seems blindsided. Nobody sees it coming. Everybody's like, well, good play. They all kind of don't see it coming, but do see it coming at the same time. I know that's a double standard.
Well, like, I guess what's the idea? Like, if they know about it, then they're gonna throw a fit, or they might throw people. Idols. They're gonna burn. They're gonna like expose people's games, and they're gonna tell them all their little secrets at tribal council. So
yeah,
vote them out. But this is a season where people are gonna come back anyway. So
I mean, a lot of times in the last few seasons of Survivor, we've been seeing at least once or twice somebody walk out of the tribal council bitter, and say something on the way out or just be pissed. This season, really not at all. Only Rob was really mad when Amber got voted. That was about it.
Rob's been mad the whole season. He's mad. Oh, you want to vote out my guy? You want to vote out poverty? You think I'm going to go along with that, Adam? Go to hell. Like,
you know, watch this show. Yeah.
Yeah, you think you know me? Yeah, Adam. Like Rob is a macho kind of player who, like I said, he's a dinosaur. He doesn't really fit into this game anymore. I don't think he's adaptable.
Do you think it's just because he played so long ago and that he's set in those ways, or is it? I think it's more his personality of what he sees as successful on the show.
Well, I think what used to work isn't what works anymore. That's
this season of Survivor with Rob is reminding me most of Heroes versus Villains Rob, where he was just outclassed.
Yeah, like I think he's also coming off the season where he had a big statue. Him and Rob and Sandra, I don't think have played particularly well in this game at all. Coming off of season 39, which had problems for all kinds of reasons, but in particular because, Rob and Sandra were presented as these gods, these idols, whatever it was, And I was like, they're good players, they're interesting characters, but they're not like the best players who ever lived. Like,
I would say there are players that haven't won that are better at socially maneuvering in the game.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to do like that kind of like a mentor program, I don't know. Like I don't think do it with two people like that. Like bring in maybe like a few different types of archetypes versus just the Rob and Sandra, which is a very, that's one way to win. But as we're seeing here on this like Winners at War season, like there's a million different kinds of ways to win. Like you can be like a Mike Holloway or a Ben Drybergen, or you can be more of a Rob kind of a player, or you can be a Tyson or like Tony. Like they're all so polarizing to one another.
I do think part of what helps you win in Survivor is just being likable. And on all these people's seasons, they were good at making other people like them.
Right.
Whereas this season, none of them are really. I mean, they're doing it a little bit, but they all notice it once it happens. Like tonight with Wendell and Jeremy, Sophie's like they're bros, and they showed like some.
yeah, that was the best when they cut away, and it was like they were totally like we love each other,
yeah,
whatever. And I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and sometimes I think players get in their own heads where they go, are they just doing that for show? Are they actually buddies? Would they actually vote together? Are they actually tight? And then they get, this season it's been less about make you like me, more about analyzing the situation and then
who's connected to who. Like they were saying, like they were thinking about. I don't remember whose confessional it was, but they were like, yeah, like this is kind of like who's connected to who, and it's sort of like this massively Sarah was saying that, right? Thinking like a cop, of course, right. Like like who's connected to who, and if I can figure out all the layers, I can peel it back like an onion and I can get to the truth or whatever.
Basically I can figure out who's dangerous, who's leading the votes, and those are the players that you want to replace. You want to lead the vote, especially once the numbers get down more toward like 8, 7, 6. Those are the key numbers where you want to be the top of your alliance.
Yeah, for sure. You always want to be sort of have a good group, but not be at the top of it too much, not be considered the leader, like Jeremy said. Like I'm running it, but I don't want people think I'm running it. But I don't want to be at the bottom of my group either. Ironically, Wendell and Jeremy went first and second in our draft in our little group.
And then I picked Tyson, right?
And then you took Tyson is your third, and then Adam was by Daryl was the fourth pick.
Adam, and all of those players could win. Wendell could still come back, and Jeremy could win, Tyson could win, and Adam could win.
Think Kim can win?
I don't think so. She's just not been on the show very much. For her to win would be weird. It just would come out of nowhere, it'd be like, what?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, like I agree with you. Like I'm watching this season, I'm like, okay, I'm like, I have Kim. She was my first pick. She went fifth in our draft, and I was like, okay, like she's in it. She was in trouble for a while, but they haven't talked about her a lot lately. But now I'm just like, I don't see what the story of her season is. Like if you look at like how they edit a whole season together, I can't say it. Like what's that she kind of was on the bottom. Like at the beginning, that was her story. Like, oh, I've always been in control, and now I'm sort of on the bottom, or I'm not on the outs. I'm not used to this. Yeah. And now she's been a background character for a while. I guess she's also not used to that, but she's not at least she's not emotionally distraught about it as much as she was about being on the bottom of the numbers. And now she's just again floating by. Like I hope we see more of it next week. Maybe there'll be more wheeling dealing. I know it's hard when you have like 12 people in the game, plus you have to have all this time to look at the edge of extinction people.
Yeah.
So there's really still all 20 of them on the show at once, right? It's no different than like the first episode of the season.
Yeah, you could essentially say that Tyson replaced Wendell in the merge. That's what happened tonight. And it was really just going to be an 11-person tribe, 11-person merge.
Yeah.
And now you're bringing back one more player later, which a lot of fans did not like the Chris Underwood win, mainly because he came back so late and then didn't have to do much. He did make a good move, but I mean, at the same time, his win felt cheap.
I think because that jury was made up of Edge of Extinction people too,
exactly.
right?
They got to know him better than the players in the game, so it was kind of strange. And if it happens again, like where, like, say, like Ethan comes back and Ethan gets to the final three, that jury's gonna vote for Ethan.
But I think then he deserves it, right? Because that's that's the format of the game. Now, whether you like the format, I like it in this type of a season much more as a returning player season.
I agree.
As a new player season, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, especially because you don't see each other. But for this, where they kind of know what they're all about, and it's not that they're not in as an awe of the whole process. I think that it makes way better. In the first season, yeah, it does. And the fire token thing, if they had the fire token and the whole currency and that kind of thing, the first time around they did Edge of Extinction, that could have been done. I've been surprised how compelling this is as a twist. I think it's ultimately going to come down to whether like how it's going to pay off, because now they're flying around. You're winning fire tokens in immunity challenges. You're winning fire tokens, like from other people, like you have been from the beginning. So, and what that's ultimately going to mean, what's that going to translate to down the road?
Why do you think it's called a fire token?
I think just because fire is life in the game and something like that. Like that's just a Survivor trope.
It's just a trope. It won't mean anything later.
No, probably not. Well, maybe. Like, why would it? Like, when they first came up with the concept, or when they first announced that they were doing this, I was like, what's that going to mean? Like, you need tokens to buy flint to make fire, or is there something related to it like that? But it doesn't seem to be. And now, did you see tonight, like, when they came on screen, it showed who, like, how many tokens that player has, like, sort of in their, like, under their name. Like, I think they showed us one of the players tonight. It was one of the early confessionals.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, this person has one fire token. I'm like, okay.
So how many does Nick have? Do we know?
Nick would have at least 2, if not 3 now.
He has one from Tyson. He has his own.
And the one he got tonight from Wendell. Yeah, so he has 3.
Right, 3. So, and like, would Tyson have 0, or would he have gotten 1?
I don't think. Well, Tyson found one, right?
And and then he used it to buy peanut butter. And then he got another one, and then he used that for the advantage in the challenge. So now does he have 0, or do they give him one when he re-enters the game? Because everybody always has a token in the game to bequeath it to somebody else in the game, right, when they get voted out. But I wonder if they didn't address that. Did Tyson get one? Is my question.
You're saying that, because Tyson used his in the challenge,
right?
Right. That's why he did have to dig up his thing,
right? But they also said, like, because like Rob had 2 other ones and then got another one from Amber, so that's 3. Natalie had 4 or 5, and she used 1 for the advantage, and then she brought another 3 that she was going to use to buy an idol. I didn't see on the menu, but did you see, like, how much was it to buy an idol, or how much was it to buy an advantage? I know they said the prices went up, but it was like,
I didn't get a good look at it, but yeah, it was. I think it was 3. I think it was like 3 tokens gets you an idol or something like that. Right. And so, and what else did Tyson have? Anything else advantage wise or something? He had his peanut butter out there on.
I know Parvati had the idol nullifier. Now, my question was, had Parvati won that challenge, and she comes back into the game, would she still have her idol nullifier?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Right, that would have been cool to see her come back in the game with that.
There's still a few other advantages floating out there, like Jeremy's, right? Like he has that ability to walk out on any tribal council and not like he doesn't have to stay for the vote. He loses his vote, but he can kind of walk out if he's sort of got cold feet about the whole thing. That advantage was given to him by Natalie like
And does he still have
ages
that?
ago.
That he still has that.
Yeah, he still has that. Yeah. So, but they haven't talked about that for a while.
No. So when they do, like, that you'll know he's in trouble, and he either will be will he or won't he use it to save himself, and he'll either get blindsided or he will have used it, and that'll be cool.
Yeah. I think I feel like I need a couple more quick votes here. Like, let's just vote out 2 people as quickly as possible.
I think they will have a double episode soon. They usually do that. Well, at least once they'll do one double episode in the merge. I'd like to see the player from the Edge of Extinction come back sooner than later. Like, but it won't. It's not happening now because it makes sense that they would bring it back basically final 5. And that's when they'll bring the player back from Edge, because then all those players after that, then they're on the jury, right? They already are on the jury and they're coming, but they're going to be all like in civilian clothes by that point. The game will be over for them once that player comes back, and it's going to have to probably be at the final.
They'll get released from hell at that point,
which I do think they should do it earlier. I think they
should do it now. Just do it now. Just send okay.
I would have rather them had 2 players come back and then end the Edge of Extinction.
Or if anything, the players who didn't get back into the game now, right? They go off to Paradise City. What's it called?
Ponderosa.
They get to go to Ponderosa, and now now Wendell goes to the Edge, but there's none of those people are there anymore. That's what it should be.
Right. Yes. Yeah, they get to go to Ponderosa after Tyson wins.
You get one chance back in, right? And that way, if somebody came back from the Edge at this in that scenario,
let's call it the double buyback. So you got the single buyback and you got the double buyback, because
but maybe there's some caveat, like if you have some fire tokens, you don't have to go to Ponderosa. You can go to the Edge instead or something. But like, don't make it automatic. Like, do we need Amber in for another Edge of Extinction challenge?
Yeah, but don't you want Natalie to have another chance? Don't you want Boston Rob to
No, I don't think they even deserve it. Like, I feel like they're so removed from the game. I guess, yes, you get this information from the people being voted out, and they come in and they tell you sort of what's going on.
Right.
But, like, if Natalie came back at Final 5, we want her to win?
Well, that's what I mean, like, about the Chris Underwood win. It would be kind of cheap. Like, but I don't like. I think Natalie's a bad example. I think, like you said, Ethan would deserve it if he came back, or like, what if Danny came back and Danny got to the final 3? It would be like, what? She won? How? She was out. Like, she was barely on the show. Like.
Yeah, I get. So that's where I get into the cheap factor. Like, I think if Natalie came in now, if she had won instead of Tyson, and then she goes on to win the game, that's fine. But for somebody, to be on the Edge of Extinction for like 36 days.
You should have
the whole Chris Underwood wasn't out there as long as Reem. But what if Reem? Yeah, would we have been satisfied with a Reem win in that season? What's more satisfying, Reem or Chris Underwood?
Being the first, it's all about story, okay? And so the first person getting voted out and coming back, like Natalie would be, like Reem would have been, is more of a story than who was the second person voted out. Amber. If Amber came back and won, it'd be like, what? Are you kidding? Like, she did nothing. She just gave tokens to Rob. She actually sat around, tended the fire. Like, why would she deserve to win? But like, a lot of those old school players might vote for her, like Ethan, like Rob, like say Tyson. A lot of them might just vote for her because they're friends with her.
Right. I guess what also makes this better, this version of Edge of Extinction better, is they actually understand that. Right. Like the players know how this works versus the people who played that format the first time.
Yeah.
Except we had the fire tokens this time. That's the part that's different. But at least they understand that being on the edge is important. The relationships there, that information. So Tyson coming into the game, maybe that's why he's not the first boot, because every like winner there's like, no, tell me what they're talking about, the Edge of Extinction. That's where all the jury votes are. I need to understand where their heads are at, who's loyal to who I need to vote out next.
Who's mad at who as well. You know,
Who's mad at who? So yeah, like the majority of the old schoolers got voted out, right?
you want to bring players that you know those old schoolers don't like to the end.
What's the cutoff from old school to new school, by the way? Like what season?
I would say, I would say 20, 21. In that, everyone before 20 and before is old school, and everyone 20 and after would be new school because that's really that's sort of halfway, right? This is season 40. 20 would be the you know that halfway point. So anyone that played season 20 and before is old school. So even Boston Rob, even though he won 22, he's still old school because he played before season 20. Sandra, same thing. Yule, all those players, all those old school
Danny,
players.
Amber, Ethan, yeah.
Yeah.
But not because Tyson, even though he won 27, he
still
really
considered himself old school
because he played like season 3
18.
or whatever.
He played 18.
But he was on Tokachins, right? Originally?
Yeah, 18, 20, and then he won 20, 28 or something? I don't remember what number Blood versus Water was, but
what's Tyson's first season is Tokachins, which is not 20, is it?
18.
Is it 18?
Yeah, it goes Tokachins, and then Samoa's Russell Hansen's first season right after that. Then it's Heroes versus Villains. So that's really that's like the crescendo of the old school era, and then the crescendo for the new school era to me is not as good. It was, I guess, Nick last season with Ben, and then last season who won it last year? The Island of the Idols. Who won that season?
Oh, the red-haired guy.
Oh yeah, Tommy.
Tommy, yeah.
Right. So, yeah, so like that's kind of been the crescendo of the new school. Now we're starting a new era. Season 41 will be the new school, you know. It'll be the newer school.
So I didn't realize that JT, the first season he won, and like him and Fishback, like that's 2009. Like that's way later than I thought it was.
Yeah, so it's the first 10 years, right? Because that's why Heroes vs. Villains was the 10-year anniversary. This is the 20-year anniversary.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So that was like Tyson. That was Coach too, right?
Yeah. So they in this season they might as well have almost done a new school tribe and an old school tribe. That would have been interesting to have seen. So if you played season 20 and before earlier, you're on this tribe. If you played season 20 and above, you're on this.
Right. Like, is that more interesting? Like, I think it was probably what they should have done in retrospect, considering that's how the tribal lines would have went. But I don't think there was a way to go. Like, there's just as much of an argument then to do like men versus women, or to do whatever evens versus odds, or I don't know.
Yeah, of course. It's just the demographics breakdown. However you want to look at it, it was just it just would have been interesting to have seen the old school players go at it at tribal, and in the new school, it would have been cool to see the divide. Whereas in this season, we got basically almost kind of like a lot of times in these returning seasons, a dismantling of players quicker to adapt, quicker to make sure they got on the right side of the numbers. A lot of the votes this season have been like close to unanimous votes. Like especially on the Takal side.
Right. Like they've been pretty solid. Like, well, they voted out Sandra. No, they voted out Amber.
Yeah, like the ones that stand out are the Denise blindside, which was a really nice move. And what else? What other ones were really like blindside, where it's like
for the Takal people? Like,
it wasn't a unanimous vote. I guess maybe the Natalie vote was kind of close. That was a close vote. But a lot of them have just been like 8-2, or like whatever, 7-3.
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody wants to be in the minority, right? So, like tonight, if it had been Adam, or even if it had been Wendell voted for Adam, right? And so did Nick. And who was the third vote? Michelle,
yeah. So and now it's just Michelle and Nick basically together. So they're gonna have to pivot and figure something out,
Right. Was their part? Well, they're part of that Sophie, and I guess we're gonna think Adam by default is gonna sort of end up over there. But yeah, like I don't know which way this goes next. This is what's so interesting about this season, though, is that it's like it is a kind of a rotating thing. Oh, what else? Wendell. I don't want Wendell back in the game. I'm done with him. Can we talk about Michelle?
Okay.
Because I thought Michelle was really well poised. Like after last week,
She's been playing well socially, you mean? Yeah.
she's been playing well socially. Well, she got a fire token out of tonight, so maybe she's definitely doing something right.
Yeah.
But she was definitely on the wrong side of this vote tonight. She wasn't in the know. That's the first time I think that's happened to her in this season. Because I guess because they figured it's her ex-boyfriend, we can't tell you. But so that was the only thing. Maybe that's her only mistake. Maybe is voting. Did she make a mistake voting out Yule instead of Wendell? Because ultimately, this kind of came back to bite her a little bit tonight.
It might have. Had Yule been there instead of Wendell, do you think the vote changes at all? Do you think an old like a more of like more of a lion goes home instead of a hyena for like, do you think he targets like Tony, or do you think he targets like a bigger player?
If it had been Yule, so if Yule had been in this merge,
Right.
and it's not Wendell, okay, so Wendell's gone, and I think Yule comes in here. I guess he would have Nick and
He would
Michelle.
he would definitely be working with Sophie.
He'd go back with Sophie for sure.
Yeah.
And whoever is Sophie adjacent. So who's Sophie adjacent? I guess that
it would have been Sarah.
Sarah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Because now Sarah and Sophie are on opposite sides. That seems weird.
Well, they voted together tonight, so they're not on opposite sides yet.
But we're saying that Sarah is going to be with the Lions and Sophie's with the sleeper group, and therefore
or maybe they're just going to work together, work the middle, and take everybody out.
Is this more of a trust cluster season where there's not maybe two or maybe there's more than maybe it's
there are certain players that are going to be paired, I think, but like you're going to see like a trust cluster, for instance, would it be like Tony, Sophie, Sarah? Because Tony trusts Sophie, Sophie trusts Sarah, Sarah trusts Tony.
Tony doesn't trust Sophie.
Right. So it's kind of like a trust cluster that might break.
Right. But who's Jeremy's closest ally?
Jeremy? It seems like it's Ben.
It seems like right now it's Ben. Somehow it's Ben.
It might be Denise. I mean, it should be Denise, but at the same time, they know each other are ruthless. Like it's kind of interesting how she's literally telling, who was it, Jeremy, that she would vote out Adam in a second. She has no allegiance to him.
So does Adam know that?
I don't know. We didn't see an Adam Denise conversation.
Right. So, and ultimately Adam didn't get voted out. So is he still good with Denise, or will that information get back to him?
Adam's going home at some point. He's got to. Like, he's been in danger like 5 times in this game.
So maybe Adam has Denise, but who else does Adam have?
Oh, Adam, I think he has to go with Nick and Michelle. I think it's
who else trusts Adam or would work with Adam?
Like I don't think it's going to be Ben, because you saw in the preview for the next week, he's like, or even this week, he's like he's the one getting upset at him for telling him it's Wendell or something. I forget what his quote was, but he was and I kind of agreed with him.
And they got mad at him like way back when he told Rob they were going to vote out Parvati, remember? So that's still there. So I don't think they like Adam or trust Adam. I think he's just like this guy they haven't really gotten around to voting out yet. I think they will vote him out at some point.
Yes, he's kind of like an easy target they're keeping around for like 9, 8, or 7.
So he's kind of like a free agent. We figure that Kim and Tyson are together. Now it seems like Nick and Michelle are a pair for some reason. But we've seen that Michelle has been friendly with Jeremy. We've seen that Michelle has who else is what Michelle worked with that's still in this game? She worked with Denise at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like there's a few different ways. So yeah, they're right. It's more of a spider web really than a couple sides. But really, like, so if Sarah can keep Tony and Sophie both at least voting the same way, I think that Sarah is really well set up.
Sarah, there's certain few players in this game still that are really set up well, because I don't think they're going to be the big targets. They're going to be more the deciders. And I think we got Sarah, Sophie, and Kim, I think, are all going to do well. They are kind of always going to be in the middle. And that's where you want to be in the merge. You want to be in the middle with 2 or 3 people that can kind of decide where they go, and then get it down to 5 where they have a 3-2 on you. And once they have a 3-2 on you, you're good.
Yeah, unless you win immunity.
Well, but even if that one person wins immunity, if they don't have the other idol, then you can vote that other person out. So you got to get it. That's happened before where they've gotten it to 3-2. The person wins the person in the 2 wins individual immunity, and the other person has an idol, and then it goes 2-2 at final 4.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where you want to get it. I think that's how I would think about it. If I was in the final 11, like it is, I gotta get with 3, 2 other people. I want a final, not a final 3, but a 3 people I can get down to when I get down to 5. That I can trust, that I know will vote for me, and I know will not backstab me at final 5. Now that's hard to do. But you also have to play the big numbers here when you first come into the merge. So you have to be aligned with almost too many people. You have to say yes to everybody. It's all lies. It's all deceit. But you have to know in back, Sarah and Tony know that when they get to final 5 with each other, they're going to vote together. So they want to keep each other around.
Right. All right. So let's kind of speculate here. Okay. So we saw in the preview that Adam looks like he's in trouble next week potentially. Like he seems to be wanting to go after Sarah, and
right.
But that seems almost too obvious. But okay, who gets voted out next week if you had to bet?
I think it might be Sarah. If the group is smart, they're going to go after a player like a Sarah, because like I said, of how good a position she is, and they're very smart this season. They know who's in good positions.
Okay, so Sarah's voted out. Let's say, right? Yep. Now we got Adam, Denise, Jeremy, Ben, Tony, Sophie, Kim, Tyson, Nick, and Michelle. So who is the next obvious target? Adam's obviously still a target. Denise will be a target depending on who has immunity.
And I think Tyson will be. Tyson's name will come up for sure because of who the jury is. The jury will all want to vote. Give Tyson.
I don't think any of them will want Tyson to get too far.
I was so surprised they didn't vote him out this episode. I mean, it's
right.
It's the story of the episode because he's right. If you let him build his house and get 2 or 3 people, like I just mentioned, to be tightly aligned with him, how do we see Tyson getting to this end of this game? Like, who are the 2 or 3 players that he could really?
I don't know if he can. Like, I think tonight was ultimately about we have to break up Wendell and Nick. That's what at least was on enough of their minds that I don't care which one it is, but one of them has to go. And so then is it sort of like after that? Okay, we have to break up any pair that we see next, because we see this quite a bit. Where anything that's perceived like a pair, right? Like tonight, ultimately, Wendell gets voted out because he's considered to be a pair with Nick, but also sort of a pair with Jeremy. So then
if they had come into the merge though with Yule too, they would have been tight. Well, I mean, if they got rid of Michelle, right, and it was Wendell, Nick, and Yule, like it probably should have been. Like Rob Sestino said, the obvious vote last week was Michelle. Well, and they completely botched it. If they come into the merge, those 3, they probably get targeted anyway. One of them probably goes, right?
Yeah. And we see, like I think Yule also got voted out because he was considered to be sort of tight with a few people, even though the people who voted him out were the people who were tight with him. So I think then it will be like, who's the next pair? Is it Nick and Michelle? Is it
Tony and Sarah?
Is it Tony and Sarah? Well, we just said Sarah's voted out. So Tony doesn't have Sarah anymore in this hypothetical situation. So,
right. Then I think are we going to see a loner big targets like Tony, Jeremy, and Tyson team
up, and even Sophie.
Well, Sophie nobody seems to want to get her out ever. So, and she's always calling the shots. So she's the most dangerous player. I mean, to me,
let's say they get Sarah out, and then okay, if Sarah goes, let's get Nick out next. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So then we're down to final 9. I think probably after that they'll want to get a big target out. I think Tony's probably got it. Is not looking too good there. I think Tyson definitely could go at that point. I think I could see a story of the season being like Nick got Tyson out first, and then Tyson gave him his fire token, and then Tyson got back in the game, and then he got Nick out, right? That's how you just lasted long enough for that, and that's the story.
Yeah, and I could totally see that for sure. I mean, right now, if who's at edge, do you think any of the players that are at edge currently will be the player that comes back into the game? So
Well, I'm trying to figure out like
put it.
I'm trying to figure out who the final five are. So that's where I'm trying to whittle this down, like based on who. So
Okay, so
who are the
give me your final five. I'll give you my final five. How's that? We'll do that. A little experiment.
Okay, so I think after like let's say Nick goes after Sarah, right? Because that's often how those things go. I'm gonna bet you that Tony gets voted out next, and then probably I can see it being like even a Jeremy or a Tyson. So let's say it's Tyson after Tony, and I got to think that they're going to want to get rid of Adam at some point because he's such a weasel. So get rid of Adam. So now we're down to 6.
So your final 6 would be Ben, Denise, Kim,
Jeremy,
Michelle, Nick, Sarah.
No, I don't have Nick. So I have Denise, Jeremy, Ben, Sophie, Kim, and Michelle.
Okay, so those are all the sleepers. So you think the sleepers are going to prevail, other than Jeremy, basically?
I think so. Yeah. Like I guess then it'd be 4 women and 2 men, and then they might get Jeremy and Ben right out of there, or at least one of them. So let's say I think Jeremy's the bigger threat, so they'll get rid of Jeremy first. So now your final 5 is Denise, Ben, Sophie, Kim, Michelle. I can think that's very probable. And then
I think Adam will be in the final 5.
You think Adam will make it there?
Yeah, he's been on the show so much. I think he will be in the final 5.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think it's always going to come down to, but he doesn't really have anybody. Why get rid of him? He has no like strong allies. Like even Denise, who's as strong as ally, is willing to cut his throat. So why get rid of Adam? I think will always be the story. Yeah, he's a dangerous player, but is he?
Yeah. So I think if I had to guess the final 5, I think I'm going to see. I think you'll see Adam there. I think you'll see Denise there. I think you're right about that one. I do think Jeremy will be there. I think Kim will be there, and Sophie.
Yeah. We got a comment from Josh Shields on our podcast, Jeff.
What does he think?
What he says, good for an episode that was somewhat uneventful despite merge and the return of the edge from Edge of Extinction. The edit was annoying as they didn't really show anything leading up to the person being voted out. So yeah, again, we get another tribal that like they kind of pulled the wool over our eyes and we never know who's getting voted out. That seems to be the biggest piece of suspense they're always trying to build.
Right. Rather than it's like it's almost like it's a script and they're kind of like following the formula. Whereas, I wish they would just kind of let these players like just show us what they're gonna do. I don't mind knowing. Like I found back at like in the early days of Survivor, they showed us more about what the players were thinking going into the tribal, and also at tribal, and what they would do in confessionals. They would tell you like they always do like a whole confessional thing, and I want to see more rather than like give me the song and dance. Show me more content of why they're making the decision they're making. I wouldn't. I don't. I don't always need to be surprised. I get it's the formula, but sometimes like just show me more than a quick clip. Show me like one player, like a 1 minute talk of like why, or 30 seconds or whatever of why they are deciding what they're deciding. I enjoy learning about what they're thinking rather than in the confessional way before they go to tribal, because in tribal things kind of change sometimes, and I would just appreciate it more if they slowed down that part of the show.
I hate the tribal confessional point of view because, as we know, like most of them have their minds made up. It's very rare, very unusual for anything to change in terms of how the votes are going to lie. So it's a lot of like just cloak and dagger, and I guess the only suspense there is whether or not somebody will play an idol or not. But that's about it, really. Like everyone kind of knows which way they're going. They don't want people to know that they're voting for them, I guess. But I used to have to skip through tribals because it used to be too intense. I would just be like, okay, just get to the end. Just tell me who got voted out. I can't handle all this like sort of weird editing that's just trying to like fool me. But I don't feel like that anymore, like with this particular series, because I guess it's keeping it exciting, but maybe too unpredictable. I get where Josh is coming from. Yeah, like we don't really understand why it was Wendell, but I think we do. Like I guess what we don't really understand is why it's not Adam, how it got flipped back onto Wendell from Adam, because it seemed like it was definitely going for Adam.
I think they could have solved this very easily if they had just showed us like whatever Sophie said when she wrote down Wendell, and if she explained, if they had to go up to the camera and kind of explain why they were doing it, even quietly or whatever, I would appreciate that. Like because we would go, okay, I get it. But what we did get was Adam saying it's either me or you tonight, and I don't know if you see it coming. It's basically that, and that was the only clue they gave us. Just show us a few more. Show me what Sophie thought. Like everybody voted for. Show me why. Jeremy. Show me why Jeremy even was voting that way. Now it would have blown the reveal, but at least I would have understood why Jeremy voted Wendell. Maybe that's going too far. Maybe that's going to completely kill the suspense, and that's not good TV.
Yeah, I would have liked to see Kim and Tyson where their heads were at, but maybe it wasn't that complicated for them. That's why it didn't make good TV.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think that might wrap it up for me.
Yeah, I think
this is a good one.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I think it's only going to get better. Jeff Probst said it's the best season ever. So
you may not be wrong about that. We'll see. The jury is not out. They're at Extinction Island, but we'll see how this ultimately. But this has been so exciting because we know all these characters so well. So it's been kind of a culmination of 20 years of watching Survivor. So that's exciting. So I'm glad we get to keep covering it. We've never done a podcast quite this quickly after any kind of show, let alone.
No, this is
our first time we're doing Survivor. So
yeah, it's not a lot of time to prepare, but we
wasn't that hard. I didn't even have to make notes. I kind of knew what happened and it was fresh in my mind versus like a scripted show. So
yeah, it was a knee-jerk reaction.
It was a knee-jerk here on Super Mater Brothers podcasting.
That's right.
Okay,
I'm going to sign off, and we'll talk about the next episode next week.
Yeah, we're going to be covering Westworld season 3, episode 3 later this week, and then probably on Monday we'll be hitting up Survivor or Westworld episode 4 for season 3, and then we'll be back on Survivor next Wednesday night. So thanks everyone, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
See you guys.